In studio now, I'm joined by Yishai Fleisher, the international spokesperson for the Jewish community in Hebron, and Oren, a journalist and Middle East analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me for this. Oren, let me begin with you. A Middle East analyst, what on earth happened here? Maybe let's look at blue and white. 3 campaigns now that they've been trying to motivate and mobilize voters, and we're seeing the same failing. You know, the narrative up until now has been Benjamin Netanyahu is unable to form a government, but it seems blue and white is unable to make that extra step forward.
Absolutely. It seems the voters, the blue and white supporters, simply didn't come out in the numbers necessary. As your correspondent there said, the turnout in Tel Aviv, which of course is a blue and white stronghold, was at least 10% lower than the national average. There happens to be a polling place right near my home, and I was talking to some of the folks there, and they said the turnout at that polling place was about 50%. So if the Tel Avivis don't turn up for blue and white, I don't think the party has much of a chance.
Yishai, as we know, this whole campaign, not just for blue and white, has been criticized for being anti-Bibi, that the only, let's say, motif for this campaign was anything but Benjamin Netanyahu. Looking at these numbers, did Bibi defeat the anti-Bibi campaign?
Oh, that's not a question. Bibi trounced the anti-Bibi campaign, and that's with an attorney general indicting him. That's with the media indicting him. And that's where with politicians that can't stand him. And yet the people came out in droves. And we do know that the voting overall was high, 10% higher than usual. And where did that 10% go? It went to Netanyahu. The Netanyahu campaign reached deep into places like Ashkelon and other towns where people believed in Netanyahu but just didn't come out and vote. And they came out and voted, as opposed to blue and white, which there was no heat in that campaign. Benny Gantz was just not an exciting leader, not a great communicator, and being anti-somebody is just not a campaign. Netanyahu had a campaign. He said, I want to make more inroads with the Arab countries around us. I want more diplomacy, more economics. How have the last 10 years been for you? Is your average GDP, your household doing better? It is. That's me. And so it was a hot campaign. He himself was pounding the pavement. He was on video. He was smiling the whole time. He looked amazing. He was doing 4 or 5 events a day, and the results showed. You know, you had a lot of people from Tel Aviv who said they're disappointed. Let's talk about the 50% of the country that voted for Netanyahu or his bloc, self-identified with his bloc. And that's 59, maybe 60 seats. That's half the country voted for one guy, and I think it was a clear democratic victory for Netanyahu.
What might have changed the picture for blue and white? Was it a mistake in the previous round of elections for Benny Gantz and others to say, we do not need the recommendations from the joint list and we do not want to associate with them?
I think there is a perception that there was a bit of flip-flopping on that issue. At first, Gantz seemed amenable to sitting with the united list, the joint list, and then this round he said, no, there's no way we're going to sit with them. But I think a lot of voters thought on both sides, both in the Likud camp and in the sort of the blue and white camp, that there was a distinct possibility that if the opportunity presented itself, he would consider sitting with them. So I think there was a bit of mixed messaging there. And I think Netanyahu's campaign was, the messaging was clear, whether you could like it or dislike it, but I think Netanyahu's message was clear, whereas the blue and white coalition is quite a wide one, and I think the messaging got a bit lost there. The message wasn't as solidified.
But the party itself is not solidified. You have a party, the blue and white party is itself a kind of amalgam of different political opinions, so it just didn't come out with a clear message. He was very challenged, the blue and white party and Gantz were very challenged also by the Trump peace initiative, which was like this. And he was like, well, I'm no different than Netanyahu. Voters said, he's not a leader. He's not different than Netanyahu. He's not going to sit with the Arabs. He's not going to do something special, so forget it.
Gentlemen, we're seeing live images of the Prime Minister there in the Knesset. We might see what kind of trick he might pull out of the hat to maybe try to form a government in the next few days. That's what I want to discuss with you right after this brief break, 2 minutes, and we'll come back to our studio discussion to try to understand the possible scenarios. Stay with us.